What's going on, everyone? Happy Thanksgiving! Hopefully everyone is doing well and having a great holiday so far. Time now for the Thursday Thanksgiving Day edition of the Weather Update for Thursday, Thanksgiving, November 28th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where I do the daily weather update on all things weather in the United States. I talk about tropical weather, severe weather, winter weather, any weather that could be impacting the United States, including droughts. Yes, I do talk about the drought situation as well. So if you're new here, you want to be informed. Maybe you've watched a few of my videos lately and you thought, you know what, I'm starting to like this. Subscribe down below. And if you do like today's video, give it a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, share this video with anyone you know, and of course, leave your comments down below. Alrighty, we do have several things to talk about today. First off, we do have a storm system that is in the northeast that is going to slowly be exiting the picture, but behind that storm system in the northeast, the winds of change are coming, and you can see that here on this wind map. There are several things I want to show you on this wind map today, which is really quite fascinating. First off, you can see there is an area of low pressure that is starting to develop now near Long Island. That is a coastal low. The energy is being transferred from the initial low over to a coastal low. That storm system is going to be going up into New England. Yes, it is starting to exit the picture in Pennsylvania, but places like Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, snow is in the picture for you for the rest of this Thanksgiving. The higher elevations could see anywhere from 4 to 8 inches, maybe even locally higher amounts in the highest elevations. But look behind us. We do see the winds of change coming. A strong northwest flow is setting up, and that is going to allow for much colder temperatures. And you see on the west coast, not much in the way of movement on this map. That's because things are relatively quiet today for you in the west and in the southeast. Ahead of that winds of change, you do see a southwest flow, which means there could be a few isolated thunderstorms here and there. We'll take a look at that in just a little bit. But first off, take a look at these winds that are starting to go over the Great Lakes. We're going to be keeping our eyes on those winds as we head into tomorrow, Black Friday, and into the weekend. The waters, the Great Lake waters, are still relatively warm in a lot of places. Cold winds going over warm waters means one thing at this time of year: lake effect snow. And let's take a look at some of those Great Lake water temperatures. First off, Lake Superior, and we can see here there are still some observations where the water temperatures are still near 50. Duluth, Michigan, yeah, look at that. Still seeing 50-degree water temperatures for you. Grand Marshalls, look at that, 53 degrees. That's really a warm water temperature. Lake Michigan, look at this. There's a buoy saying still 50 degrees. A bunch of other observations in the upper 40s. And Lake Huron, yep, water temperatures are still warm there as well. Upper 40s, low 50s. Lake Erie and Lake Superior, the water temperatures are still quite warm for you as well. And the warmer the water, with the colder air going over, the more moisture that is going to develop overhead, and you will get these snow bands that set up. And in some places, because of the water temperature being so warm and the winds being so strong, there could even be thunder snow. And the National Weather Service in some places is really starting to go bullish on these snowfall amounts. More on that in just a moment. Taking a look at the satellite picture, here is our storm system that is developing now, we'll say, off the coast of Long Island and New England. The initial low is transferring its energy like it was supposed to, and places in Maine, New Hampshire, away from I-95 are seeing the snow. Along I-95, it's been a rainstorm, and I'm looking at my weather station. I'm almost at 0.8 of an inch of rain on the day. The rain is set to end here in Philadelphia, probably within the next hour. Taking a look over the lakes, you can see here that northwest flow is starting to set up. Taking a look down in the Gulf of Mexico, we do see some clouds building in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's not really going to be an issue until we get into next week, where we will have a disturbance form near Texas. Here's that system in the northeast. If you're catching this maybe a few days later, the system will have already exited, and the Great Lakes snow effect machine will be turned on. And you can already see early signs that. Look at Lake Superior. we're starting to see some bands set up, some squalls set up coming off Lake Superior. That's just the start of what is going to last all the way into early next week across all of the Great Lakes. Back across Nebraska, there is a little bit of a disturbance moving through. Some light snow with this system. On the West Coast, a whole bunch of nothing. You're being treated to a quiet Thanksgiving after the Northwest had just a continuation of heavy rainfalls, mountain snows, winds. Yes, you need the break. Unfortunately, Southern California, Los Angeles, you could use the rainfall, but take your sunny Thanksgiving and enjoy it for today. And in the southeast, here is those showers that are forming along the boundary, and some of them could be thunderstorms later on. There is a marginal risk for severe weather. National Hazards Map. Winter storm warnings continue in the northeast. Across the Great Lakes, you do see these lake effect snow warnings, and let's take a look at a few of them, shall we? Because they are really, really impressive. Oswego, Watertown, New York, yeah, look at this. 7 a.m. Friday to 7 a.m. Monday. What? Heavy lake effect snow expected. Total snow accumulations. This is from the National Weather Service. They are calling for 3 to 4 feet in the most persistent bands. And I would have to think that in places that see that, you could potentially see thunder snow. I mean, 1 to 2 inch per hour rates, maybe even locally higher, will be possible with these snow squall bands. And it's a similar theme in Pennsylvania, although slightly less. Lake Erie is going to be turned on as well, and places like Erie, Pennsylvania, Edinburgh, you're going to see, they're calling for, it's a pretty big range, 6 to 18 inches of snow, and locally higher amounts possible. And look at this, they're talking about 1 to 2 inch per hour snowfall rates. Wouldn't surprise me if a rumble of thunder occurs there as well. And there will also be lake effect snow squalls back across all the other lakes as well, where you do see there are winter storm warnings up in those areas. All right, Storm Prediction Center. There is a marginal risk of severe weather from portions of the Florida Panhandle up into North Carolina. Not terribly concerned about this, though. Radar is not all that impressive at the moment. Marginal risk of a tornado, wind, and hail. It's at the lowest possible category. It's at the lowest category when it comes to minimal. Taking a look at the Weather Prediction Center for today, and we will look at the next 1 through 7 days. Here's that disturbance I was talking about for Texas, right along the immediate Gulf Coast. You could see some heavy rainfalls as we head into next week, but take a look across the Great Lakes. You're seeing these precip maximums. Those are where the Great Lake effect snowfalls will set up those bands, and you're seeing here 2, 3, 4 inches of precipitation. Yes, I showed you the lake effect waters are still quite warm. The winds that are going to be coming over are going to be very cold winds. You have cold winds going over warm waters. That generates moisture, and it is going to be really heavy because the lakes are ripe right now with the waters being oh so warm. So be prepared if you live in any of these areas where the precip maximums are. Finally, on this map, we can see in extreme northwest portions of Washington, and we'll say Oregon as well, but more so Washington, we do see there's a little bit of precipitation showing up. As we head into next week, there could be a few disturbances for you. Not much of that moisture is going to make its way down into Oregon, and anything you see in the northern plains is from weak clipper systems. I'll show you that as well. All right. The drought update came a day early yesterday, and we can see, yeah, drought's still a problem for a lot of places. It is slightly better than what it was, say, 3 or 4 weeks ago. We're starting to see some areas that have moved out of drought, but there's still a lot of improvement. And the good news is here in the Northeast, the Northeast did see some improvement today. It's not showing up on the map. It'll show up next week. We're getting a good dosage of rain. Half inch to maybe even locally 1 inch amounts could be tallied in some areas. I mean, I have 0.8 of an inch here, and some areas had heavier precipitation than me, so that is some welcomed news. I know it's bad timing, but hey, we really did need the rainfall. Reservoirs are running pretty low here in the Northeast. All right, let's take a look at the latest NAM model, and we'll show you the whole entire United States. And you can see here's that storm system in the Northeast. You can see those heavy snows away from I-95. And as I advance this, here come those winds that I was talking about. Take a look over the Great Lakes. You can see those lake effect snow squalls do really get going. And you also note here, as we head into tomorrow, you do see some showers and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm does form along what's left of the boundary in Florida, so we'll keep our eyes on that. But you can see here, more importantly, these Great Lake effect snow squall bands that are going to really sit up in areas and pretty much sit over it. They may waver a little bit back and forth, but for the most part, they are going to sit over the same areas again and again. You also do see there's a weak disturbance Saturday morning across Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. Not expecting much from that. It will pass through the Ohio Valley. Maybe a dusting to half an inch of snow will occur with that. You also start to see, as we head into Saturday, some minor precipitation near northwest Washington. We'll keep our eyes on that. That's not really going to shift south until we get into later next week. By the time we come into Sunday, look at this. Lake effect snows do continue. They do taper off a little bit on Sunday before they get reinforced once again on Monday. And I will show you that on the rest of the model. But first off, we have to take a look at temperatures here. Let's back up, and we can see here temperatures for today. They are mild in the southeast, and that cold air really hasn't come in yet. It's not going to come in until over the weekend. Take a look at the northern plains as we head into tonight. Yeah, it gets really cold for you. Some places do get to single digits. Maybe even a 0-degree reading could be possible. On the west coast, while it's not all that warm yet, you will eventually warm up as we head into next week. Southern California will be near the 70s, but Northern California, low 60s and upper 50s for you. And now, as I advance this into Saturday, you can see, here comes that colder air. Portions of Pennsylvania, New York State, the Ohio Valley, the Northern Plains, yep. Temperatures below freezing for daytime highs, and even the big cities along the I-95 corridor, 30s, and North Carolina, 40s, Georgia, Alabama, upper 40s, maybe low 50s closer to the Gulf Coast and Florida. But yeah, really below average temperatures are going to set in. And look at this on Sunday. It could potentially, in some places, be maybe even feeling a little bit colder on Sunday, although I think it will moderate a little bit because we're going to kind of be in between systems. There'll be another disturbance that comes in on Monday, and that's going to actually make the air even colder. I'll show you that on the European in just a moment. The temperatures, that is. Here's the GFS, and the GFS shows our system for today does exit in the northeast, and then the lake effect snow squalls do set up in the bands Saturday, Sunday, and yet again on Monday into Tuesday. Look at this. Yes, you can see even on Tuesday as well. And look what happens on Wednesday. Here comes one Clipper-like system, and then behind that, another reinforcing shot of cold air. And I think that could be an even colder shot of air as we head into late next week. Look at these winds behind us. Chicago, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan. Those are really strong gusty winds, gusting to 40 miles per hour next Thursday evening. But again, the majority of the West Coast at the same time, quiet and near normal temperatures for you. In fact, maybe even slightly above normal temperatures. Let's take a look at those temperatures on the latest European run. And here we go. We head into Saturday. We see the cold air does come in the east. Same thing on Sunday. Then it moderates just a little bit for Monday, but really you're not going to notice it because it's going to feel colder than it has for a long time to start December. And as we head towards next week, look at this. Wow, really cold in the east. And you can see on the European, it does moderate a little bit again Thursday morning, but here comes that next round of cold air. It's building up there in Canada and the northern plains, and that is really going to come down as we head into late next week. Look at this. Oh yes, we're talking lows in the teens and 20s in the east. We're talking about highs even near New York City. Highs around freezing as we head into the following weekend. But look at Southern California there. You can see highs in the 70s for you. Sunny. Sunny, nice weather for you. As I advance this even further, look at the following sun. Wow. This is right now we're looking at December 8th, and you can see here. Yes, single-digit lows up in New England, and yet again, highs just around the freezing mark, north of Pennsylvania through all of New England. Boston, you may not even get out of the 20s at that point. So really, the coldest start to December in quite some time. Let's take a look at precipitation on the European. And I want to point out to you, there not really is much in the way of snowfall threats, but there are these little clipper systems that will come through. You see, here comes one on Sunday that comes through the northern plains. Not much moisture. Here's another really weak one again on Monday. And then here comes yet another one that comes on Wednesday. This one has a little bit more meat to it when it comes into the northeast. There could be a few inches of snow across the higher elevations and across northern New England. And behind that front, that's that really cold air I was talking about. Also, I should point out for next week, we can see as we get into later next week, there is some moisture that builds across portions of Texas. That's that moisture that you were seeing forecasted by the WPC, and it's mainly going to be in southern Texas that occurs. All right, so the forecast today in a nutshell. We're seeing the system in the east is going to clear. The lake effect snows are going to set up behind us across the Great Lakes. Some areas could see multiple feet of snow. Yes, multiple feet of snow. Showers and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm tomorrow across Florida and today as well. That boundary will linger there for a while. Quiet conditions in the west coast will continue into next week, with exceptions to the Pacific Northwest will probably see some rainfall in Washington as we head into next week. Really cold conditions across much of next week, with even colder air moving in next weekend for the Northeast, Great Lakes, and portions of the Northern Plains. The coldest start to December in several years. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's weather update. Of course, we'll have another one again tomorrow. If you enjoyed this update, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, hit that notification bell, share this video with anyone you know, and of course leave any questions or comments down below. I will see everyone again tomorrow. Until I see you again tomorrow, have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching.